Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we are editing the code for that movie. So at the time of making this video, the code for that movie is out on Amazon Prime and Tubi. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out, and it's also going to be coming to YouTube. Yeah. But for this episode, this is the episode 2. I previously did the episode 1 where I talked about, importing footage, also the different type of software I use, and also the challenges of, using two cameras. So hopefully maybe that will, be of benefit to you. So in this current episode now, we're going to talk about, the different scenes, and then we're going to speak about the color grading and audio, and also then the final export settings. So I used two major lens in this movie. I used the 24 millimeter f1.4 and the 85 f1.8. Yeah, so those were the two lenses I used in this movie, and it was actually nice because the main reason I wanted that was, if I wanted, a wide shot, I could go back and film as a wide shot. And the 24 millimeter also serves as almost like a 50 millimeter on the FX30, and which gave me that kind of close but not too close. And then the 85 millimeter was also giving me, those nice bokeh, like very blurred background. And if I wanted like a very close, I could easily just film that. And if I want to like a semi, not too close, I could also move back. That's why I actually chose those two lens. And I feel, if there's any two lens that you are thinking of getting, I think get, maybe a 24 or and 85, because those ones are very versatile. You can easily move back, get wide shot, and move front, get closer shot. I used DaVinci Resolve to do the editing of the movie. I did the color grading, I did the audio sound. So in this episode now, we're going to start with, the editing, checking out different scenes. One of the things that I took away from this whole movie editing is the fact that, if you write the scene on a piece of paper, write how you actually want to edit it, and if it makes sense in your head, then the profile is going to make sense during editing. And that's what I did in most of this, scenes. So
Gold.
like these scenes,
Then we can make this prison life go away. Back to your normal life. We can pretend this was all just a mistake.
okay. So most of the things I started doing is because, yeah, I kind of wanted a very dynamic, flow in terms of, the scene and the tension. And if you look at this scene, you will notice it's slowly zoomed out. It's slowly zoomed out, and that's what I wanted. So I think, when you're making your own movie, don't be scared of actually, using just a tripod and filming. That's one thing I really, getting into the editing, I said, okay, maybe I shouldn't be worried about, actually having like a long track to actually, film, because there's so many things you can actually do during editing that, you will be so happy about. So there's another shot. Let me show you another shot I did.
Listen,
Okay.
when you and your crew were arrested, the police recovered 16 million cash, but not the gold. Where'd you hide it?
Okay. So you see how
Listen, when you and your crew were arrested,
you see how the dynamic of, the slow pulling out, this is all done in the editing software. And how I did it is very simple. So this is the clip. So what I did, I first, so okay. So let me just quickly just redo this for you so you guys can see. Okay. So reset this. All right, so this is the original clip.
when you and your crew were arrested, the police recovered 16 million cash, but not the gold. Where'd you hide it?
You see, it's just there. But I needed a very nice dynamic, and it's slow zoom, So because I wanted to I wanted to show the actor's face before actually reviewing the person he was speaking to. Okay, and then these are keyframes. So what I did is okay, so this is how I wanted the clip to be towards the end. Let's say towards the end. Okay, so I have to go to the starting of the clip, and then just zoom it a little bit, and then adjust this. But however, also keep in mind that there's something called the rule of third. So it's almost like you divide the screen into three, and then you have another two lines under. So you have to know, okay, where will this the the okay, so you have to actually know where would the face, or where will it come. It has to be, for me, I wanted to have it almost like, if I put a rule of third, it has to be here, somewhere here. So I'm just going to try to adjust it to it, and just bring just a little bit of headroom. So when it's like this, and now I know, okay, when it goes to the almost finishing, I have to, slowly review the man. So I'm just going to put like a keyframe so it doesn't move when I do it. And then I go towards the ending. And then I would slowly and then adjust it a little bit. Okay, so adjust it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to play it back so you guys can see.
When you and your crew were arrested, the police recovered 16 million cash, but not the gold. Where'd you hide it?
So you see how dynamic that was. Maybe if you are filming an independent movie, take this to heart, that you can always do like a push in post. So you just need to leave room for that. And one of the things that I actually, I don't know, it just skipped my mind was, trying to make room for this cinematic scope. This is, I like trying to make room for this cinematic scope, because if I remove this, so this is the cinematic scope. So you see, I knew I wanted to do this, but on set, I just forgot. It's my bad, and yeah, I just forgot. When you're editing, the good part about editing is if you have like different footage to use, you can easily hide so many things in there. So you can see.
You know who I am?
I don't.
So if you're watching this, you would not really think, there was something I was hiding, but yeah, there was
Questions,
something I
don't
was
you?
hiding.
No.
You're lying. You know who I am?
I don't know you.
Okay. Keep it calm. Now that we've established a baseline, let's proceed. Did you take the gold you're accused of stealing?
You like asking stupid questions, Danny.
Did the insurance company won't process the claim because she hasn't been seen on?
Okay. So in this scene,
We know she was living.
in this scene, I also did like a pull out and almost like a reverse shot, because how I also shot this was, so it was a wide shot, and then I pulled in closer. But during the editing, I felt, and it needed to start from, the face. It needed to start from the face before, it reveals the environment or where he is. So you could also do like a reverse thing on DaVinci. The speed is this. So you just click on this, then it reverses, the speed. So you see, if you see, so you could play with, things like, especially for B-roll, when there's no dialogue, you could really play with it. You could add slow motion. You could just do so many things on it. When you are filming as a DOP or as a camera operator, I think please keep in mind that, it's don't just shoot for shoot's sake. Almost try to actually edit it in your head. Try to edit the footage in your head before, anything. Like, because editing the footage as a camera person, it actually helps the editor, because in this particular scene you could see that, there's a transition. If I film it much easy, instead of just cutting, like cut and then you just end the camera, you should always try to make a transition on set, so it makes the movie better. So in this particular scene, let me show you. You can see that, moving on the gimbal like this. Because obviously, if you had a track, you could easily, also do that. But I didn't have a track, I just used a gimbal. So I just had to pan from left to right. And there was, when you're panning, there should be almost like maybe a wall or a black, thing that allows you to, to fade that clip. So this is. Okay. So you see that's transition, that's motion. And I just helped it with, this cross dissolve. In this scene, I remember I also edited, there's something they call jump cut. Jump cut is, in a clip, is when you actually, film having like a long take and you just make it quicker. So this man, he's coming out, it's like they're bringing him out, and this is the clip. And the passage that I'm filming in, it's actually very long. And, there was no need for me to show all the working till it gets to the camera side, because it could take almost like, 5 minutes, or even less than 2 to 5 minutes work. So I had to like do like a jump cut. So a jump cut is. So that's basically what a jump cut is. A jump cut just makes the clip faster, almost passage of time. So not all, just say not all the photos that I film with Sony FX30. For example, like this drone shot, this wasn't Sony FX30 shot. This wasn't Sony FX30 shot. I actually used, DJI Mavic 2 Pro. Yeah, currently now it's old, but when I bought it, it wasn't old. But I still use it. I still love it. So this was the drone footage. Okay, so this is one of the scenes that really, really gave me an issue during color grading, because it was shot at night. Yes, FX30 is not the best on low light. it's not the best camera when it comes to low light. Yeah, and this parking lot where I was filming didn't have lights, and the light we were using it wasn't enough light. But yeah, I made it work. But if there was a chance of me putting more light, I would have put more light, because it's yeah, it was very challenging for me to edit this because there were so many grains in it, because it was really, really, really dark. This is another drone footage too. Okay. This is another pull in, almost like a track shot, and that I just explained just now. You need to do that often, and don't be scared of just filming with a tripod with a prime lens. You can always do like a slow push in during editing.
Hello, how can I help you?
So I did not use the image stabilization in Sony FX30s, just mainly because I was worried, because if I used it and it gives me some kind of weird things, I wouldn't be able to fix it in post. So that's why I just ended up using gimbal for most of my shot, and I switched the image stabilization off.
And that's her favorite. She loves eating them.
Okay, so the cinematic scope is actually removed, and you're going to see that it's so close. I'm actually cutting their head. Yeah, that wasn't what I intended to do, but just the fact that I wanted the closed lens, but I kind of almost, like, I didn't skip my mind that I needed to have space for the cinematic scope inside the clip, or the framing of this footage. I filmed the interrogation scene on the 360 rig I made, but also filmed some of the shots with, over the shoulder, put a tripod on both sides. But I kind of didn't like that because it wasn't really dynamic. I was running from this thing of just, filming like boom, boom, like to V shape. I was really running from that because it was the interrogation scene was long, and I didn't want to bore people with the same old style of just putting a camera on both sides and just filming people talking interrogation. But I didn't want to do that. That was why I initially created this rig of 360, because it's very dynamic.
Have you ever wanted to harm Amanda?
No,
Do you know anybody capable of harming Amanda?
no,
Do you know where Amanda is?
no.
So we're going to go to the color page. Oh, maybe let's go to the sound. We're going to do the sound first, sound mixing and mastering, and let's talk about the sound. So, yeah, but before we go there, if there's anything you want to know about, the cut page, and, why I cut some certain things, like, please leave a comment on the comment section, and I'm going to see it and I'll reply you. So let's talk about the sound. So one thing that I did earlier was to actually, name the track. So if you see there's a male audio, female audio, dialogue, ambience, foley, sound effects, music, So that's what I did, just to really be organized. Like there were like different actors in the almost like an hour, 15 minutes movie, and I didn't want to create like every track for like each track for different actors. I didn't want to do that. So I created, like one track for all the male and the second track for females. All the females were on the second track, and the male was on the first track. and then there's also dialogue. Just I created this last, track just in case maybe there's any dialogue that I don't want to add to the male or female, and I just want to like maybe play with the effects and on the dialogue. So this is the ambient. So let's talk about where I got my music from. One of the place I got my music from, I started looking at where I could get like free royalty music, and also just places that's not gonna give me issues, you know. And I initially used Ivato Element and on my one of my previous movies, and they didn't really give me issue. It's just that sometimes YouTube, they'll like they'll ask for it, and you just download and just copy the license on YouTube, and it's gonna be fine. And but however, Ivato doesn't. Yeah, they have lots of music. Sometimes maybe you're looking for, there's a particular music that you're looking for and they don't have it, and then that's for me, I was looking for like voice music, kind of voice music, something like this, you know.
Do what kind of company you're gonna keep? I'm done with wasting.
Okay, so I was looking for something like that, so I found a platform which allowed me to also pay monthly, because I didn't want to use the whole thing more than a month. And yes, I just paid, I've forgotten how much I paid, but I just paid, maybe I think it was 40 something dollars. I just paid, and then I used that. So for dialogue, so on this track you see I used the voice isolation. I just put it on 65. It's almost the same. Is on this part is an AI, I think is an AI thing with them, and it's very really good. So it's almost like it isolates the voice away from the sound. So I just made the 65 on this whole track, and then the EQ, I did this EQ by myself. I did this EQ, just, and also just the main voice, and I just highlighted all this, the compressor, everything that makes the dialogue nice. Okay, what else did I do? Dynamic. So I did the dynamic. So I opened gate, compressor, limiter. So this limiter is actually very good, because when you set it, it doesn't go, above, you know, it, -6 dB on this. It doesn't go more than that. And that's what I really like. So this, as for sound, this is all I did when it comes to sound. And then as for the master, I just put a very big limiter on the master. So I had to like make sure like that, the ceiling is -1, meaning, everything should not, even with the audio sound, would never pass, this -1 on this.
16 million cash.
So this is what I'm saying. So it will never go to -0. It will always stop at -1 dB when you put a limiter, and that's what I did. Okay. So as for sound, this is all about sound. You shouldn't make it complicated, but however, you should take time in terms of making sure the sound sounds right. And because there's really not much to do in terms of sound. Majorly, you just, the few things that you need to have in mind when it comes to like sound, for me, I think, is clarity. It's understanding what that sound is feeling with the scene, and also making sure there is a compressor, the sound is not too low, the sound is not too high. And then there's limiter, and you just put a limiter, like block, something, it cannot go more than, it cannot peak. That's basically what I would think sound is. Then also there's effect. There's effect. sometimes you need to, the effect that you use, because it's different, it's coming from a very different place, you need to put almost like a reverb or a low or high pass. I think this is where I'm going to stop in the second episode of the Codefather movie edit. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel. Like I said, the Codefather movie is currently out on Amazon and Tubi. Please go check it out. Tell me what you guys think. And the next episode is going to be, we're going to be talking about color grading and also probably the delivery and the delivery settings that I used. So yeah, I was also going to talk about subtitle in the third episode. Hope you guys have a good day wherever you guys are, and I'll see you in my other videos.